In a tranquil village nestled between emerald hills and shimmering rivers, there lived a man named Kenta. Once, he had been the heart of the community, a man whose laughter echoed through the streets and whose kindness touched everyone he met. But that was before the betrayal. Years ago, Kenta's closest friend, a man named Hiroshi, had deceived him. Hiroshi had manipulated the village elders into granting him a portion of Kenta's ancestral land, a plot that had been in Kenta's family for generations. The loss devastated Kenta. He felt not only the sting of betrayal, but also the weight of helplessness. "How could someone I trusted do this to me?" he would mutter, his voice trembling with rage. From that day on, Kenta carried his anger like a shield. He believed that as long as he held onto his resentment, Hiroshi would suffer for his actions. "My anger is my revenge," Kenta would tell himself, clutching his fists. But as the years passed, the anger began to consume him. His laughter faded, his health declined, and he grew distant from his family and friends. The vibrant man he once was seemed to vanish, replaced by a shadow of bitterness. One autumn evening, the village announced a grand festival to celebrate the harvest. The air was filled with the scent of roasted chestnuts and the sound of children's laughter. Kenta's daughter, Aiko, begged him to attend. "Please, father," she said, her eyes pleading. "It's been so long since you've joined us. The whole village will be there." Reluctantly, Kenta agreed. As he walked through the festival, he saw Hiroshi standing in the crowd, laughing and clinking cups of sake with others. The sight ignited a fire in Kenta's chest. His hands clenched into fists, and his breath grew shallow. Unable to bear it, he turned and stormed away, his heart pounding with fury. On his way home, Kenta stumbled upon an old monk named Sora, who was visiting the village. Sora had a serene presence, his eyes calm and knowing. He sat by a small fire, its flames dancing in the cool evening air. "Why do you carry such a heavy burden?" Sora asked, his voice gentle but piercing. Kenta hesitated, but something in the monk's gaze compelled him to speak. He told Sora everything: the betrayal, the anger, the years of pain. When he finished, Sora nodded thoughtfully and said, "Come, let me show you something." The monk reached into the fire with a pair of tongs and pulled out a glowing, burning coal. He placed it on a metal plate and handed it to Kenta. "Hold this," Sora instructed. Kenta frowned. "But it will burn me." "Hold it," Sora repeated, his tone firm but kind. Reluctantly, Kenta took the plate. Almost immediately, the heat seared his hand, and he cried out in pain. "Why are you holding that coal?" Sora asked. "Because you told me to." Kenta snapped, his voice filled with frustration. Sora shook his head. "No, I merely handed it to you. You chose to hold it, and now it burns you." Kenta stared at the coal, his hand throbbing. Slowly, the truth began to sink in. "This pain, it's my own doing," he whispered. Sora nodded. "Just as the coal burns your hand, your anger burns your heart. You think it punishes the one who wronged you, but it only harms you. Let it go, and you will find peace." Kenta dropped the coal and looked at his hand, red and blistered. Tears filled his eyes as he realized how much he had hurt himself by clinging to his anger. For years, he had believed his rage was a weapon, but it had only been a burden. The next day, Kenta returned to the festival. This time, he approached Hiroshi. Though his heart raced, he looked Hiroshi in the eye and said, "I forgive you." Hiroshi was stunned, but Kenta continued, "Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace." From that day on, Kenta lived with a lighter heart. He repaired his relationships, reconnected with his family, and found joy in the simple pleasures of life. He often thought of Sora's lesson and the burning coal, a reminder that holding on to anger only burns the one who clings to it. Anger is like a burning coal. It only harms the one who holds it. Forgiveness is not about excusing the wrongs of others. It is about freeing yourself from the pain of resentment. Letting go of anger is the first step toward finding peace and living a fulfilling life.